Hey, welcome back to MGD 111. We're going to take another look at typography here. Some things that we can do with our type, we can use some of our transform tools that we just learned about to modify them. The catch is we have to modify the entire layer, the entire block of type. So let's just pick an example here. If I were to select the layer here with an amazing trip with family friends, I'll just go here to make sure I'm picking the right layer. It doesn't look like it did anything here. Because we're not in our type tool. But if I go to Edit, Transform, Scale, you'll notice it now puts a box around that layer. So I can actually scale it wider or narrower. I can also hold down my Shift key and I can scale it bigger or smaller, keeping the proportions. And the cool thing is it will change the type size when we go to visit this in the text tool next. I'm going to hit return here and apply the transformation. We can also go to Edit, Transform, Skew, and this is kind of cool. We can actually angle the whole block of type, so it italicizes it and angles it. That's a pretty neat effect. I really like how that works. So that's a pretty handy one. I'm going to hit undo there. Okay, I'll just do that. There we go. Undo. Let's go down to Edit, Transform. You notice Distort and Perspective aren't on there. There's certain things that we can't do to this text while it's live. And what we mean by live text is as long as I can still highlight and edit and change this text and move it around as a separate block, it's live text. Now, it's great to work with that, but at some point we're going to have to smush all this text into the picture, and it will render it uneditable. So some of these transforms do not work in that particular function. And a curious case is warp shows up on the list here, but it actually doesn't work. Wouldn't it be neat to be able to warp our type? Well, guess what? This is kind of cool. I'm going to highlight some text here. Again, I'm going to highlight this whole line here. And up in our control bar, we've got this letter T that's sitting on top of a curve. What is that? Have you clicked on that yet? Create warped text. This is pretty cool. This gives us some options for, well, here, I'll just click one. Arc, and it automatically arcs the text for us. And it also distorts the letters a little bit, too. So the letters up top here are a little bit wider. It sort of pinpoints them. So rather than just tilting the letters and moving them around, it actually modifies the shape of them. Arc lower. This is kind of neat. It makes, you can see it makes a much bigger arch at the bottom here. Very perspective filled. We can also decide to do it vertically. So notice it now makes it looks like it's painted on the side of a tube or something. And we can also affect how much bend and how much distortion is allowed in our type here. I could show you this for hours and hours, but you're going to want to have fun with this on your own. Just be careful. Remember, if we hit Option, cancel becomes reset, so we can set it back here. But we have all these different options here. Flag is a pretty neat one, and again, we can tell it to bend it the opposite direction if we want. So these give us some really cool options for being able to explore ways that we can manipulate type. This is one thing that we can't do very well in InDesign, which is one of the main design programs. We can do this fairly well in Illustrator, but this is one of the coolest things about type in Photoshop. So again, if you want to put some text on a picture and it's not too much text, here's where Photoshop really shines. I will let you explore all of these on your own. Let's do the twist. And just have your own fun with that. Again, I could just go through those for hours and hours with you, but I'll let you explore that on your own. And it's really cool to do it with text that is multiple lines there. Another thing too, by the way, if I wanted to do something with this Ron's Summer Vacation, remember we have two layers of type here. If I select both of these layers and hit Transform, Edit, Transform, Scale, I can transform both of them together. So that's a very useful thing to remember. So I don't have to do the yellow layer and then the black layer to try to get it to match. I can do them together. So always keep that in mind. So anyway, go play with that for a while. I know you're going to want to. It's fun.